Welcome everyone here to the Smash Sports Show right here on Smash FM here on a overcast Wednesday here in Melbourne. Of course, let's talk a bit about athletics in particular and of course speak to the Williamstown Athletics Club, and of course we've got a fair few very special guests from the Williamstown Athletics Club to tell us a bit about what they've been doing throughout this COVID situation, as well as of course the summer season that happened prior to the COVID situation. And they all join us on Zoom right now. Thanks all you for joining us.
No worries. Thanks for having us.
Well, I'll get each of you to introduce yourselves and tell us, what events you all compete in.
So I'm Alyssa Biazzi and I'm a senior athlete at the Williamstown Athletics Club. I compete in both events in the 3K and the 5K on track, as well as cross country in the off season.
I'm Lucinda Rourke and I compete in the 800, 1500 and 3K as well as cross country.
I'm Natasha Rourke and I compete in the 800, 1500 and 2K steeplechase and cross country.
Oh, yeah, okay. I'm Josh. I compete in the 1500 and 3K and also cross country.
Hey, I'm Bailey. I compete in the 800, 1500, and I do a little bit of cross country.
I'm Paul Thomas, and I'm a masters athlete at Williamstown. I do the 800 and 1500 metres mainly, but join in for the cross country season.
Now, obviously at the moment, it will normally be cross-country season right now. Obviously, with what's been happening, it's obviously haven't really started. I guess for all of you who are meant to be doing cross-country supposedly this year, I guess, is cross-country going ahead at all?
Well, I'm the cross-country manager, so I probably have the best information on that. At the moment, it's suspended and it's unlikely that we'll start within the next 4 weeks. It's possible at the end of the cross-country season, like around September, they may throw in a few races, but nobody's running competitively. And
I guess for all you that would normally be competing right now for cross-country, how frustrating is that to not be out there and compete for your club?
Oh, it can be quite irritating knowing that there's not much to train for. We can only train for fitness reasons. So we're not really motivated because there's no racing. So what we have done though is our coaches set out good time trials. So about every 6 weeks. So we train for a block and then have a bit of a time trial as a replacement race. So it still gives us some motivation and something to work towards throughout the off season, considering that we have no races happening at the moment.
Now, I'll get all you to, I guess, answer my next question, which is, tell us how you went prior to the COVID situation coming in, like in the summer.
Yeah, so over the summer season, so our summer season started in about October, November and ended in March. So unfortunately our national athletics or national track and field championships that were meant to be held in Sydney got cancelled due to having a large amount of people within the vicinity, so and restrictions at the time, so which was a bit unfortunate. My racing season went pretty well. I did a PB and I raced in the 2019 Zatopek Junior 3K race. So that was my last season as a junior, or last race as a junior last year. And I ran a 3-second PB and ran a 10:13 for the 3K. I did run a mile and a 5K during the season. However, due to some injury that I went through, they weren't my best races, but probably the best to grow as a runner physically and mentally also. Lucinda and Tash?
Lucinda, you might want to make some comments about both cross country, because you did very well in cross country last year, and also your championship races for this year?
So last season in cross country, I came second in the nationals in the under 16s, and that was a 4K cross country race up in Wollongong. And then my track season started in about October, November of last year, and I competed in the all schools track and field, which is the state championships at the end of the year. And I won the 1500 and the 800. And then throughout the season, I competed in a couple of milers races. And probably my biggest race for the season was the Melbourne Track Classic, which was like an international event in Melbourne down at Lakeside, where I raced in the Open 1500.
Well, I did the cross country season last year, and I raced at nationals, which was also in Wollongong. And I also won the under 14s 2K steeplechase at States this year for track.
Yeah, my track season started in November, and I did 3 PBs in the 3K and the 1500. So I got my 1500 PB down by about 30 seconds, and my 3K PB down by probably a minute. But I didn't qualify for nationals, but it didn't really affect my season that much. COVID.
Yeah, COVID. We only would have missed one race, which would have been nationals. But my season went quite well. I had my 1500 PB go down from 9 seconds, from 4:10 to 4:01, and had some pretty good races in the season. My last race was my best at a big milers meet.
It had a pretty big impact on me in the sense that we were just coming into our championship series. Last year, I won the 800 metre national championships for masters, and we were coming in for the state and nationals just when COVID. So each state started to cancel before, just as people were registering to run. I was in South Australia, and I was due to run the next day, and they cancelled that night. So and they were the last state to cancel.
I guess now, considering obviously the uncertainty of what's happening at the moment, have you have a chance to sort of, obviously athletics is pretty unique compared to other sports in regards to you have the chance to sort of train by yourselves and still sort of train and still get that fitness going, while compared to other sports that have to completely cancel everything. Have you sort of been still sort of training in some ways, going to hopefully the summer season when the track season starts?
Yeah, definitely. We've all been training in smaller groups at the start of pretty much the lockdown. We all got a program from our coach, and we were all trained well on our own. And if anything, we could meet up with one other person, which helped, having that extra companion there as a bit of a motivation. And then now, as restrictions have eased in groups of 10, we've been able to have smaller groups and meet up and being able to train together. And now as restrictions are easing, it makes it a lot easier. So we can have a lot more people on the track and pretty much almost our full group together.
And I guess for all of you, I guess is there one particular event, once this is all done and dusted, and obviously hopefully when the track season restarts in October, November this year, is there one particular event for each of you that you're looking forward to?
For me, probably the 5K. Now, it's probably more my pet event, and however, I'm looking forward to also doing a 3K to see if I can increase in fitness and PB over this time where I've had a good block of training.
For me, so the school that I go to, they've organised a delayed cross country season, which will take place around September. October. So that's what I'll be looking forward to. And I'll also be training hard for there's a World Cross Country supposed to be in February next year, and that would be a goal of mine to make.
I'm training for the APS too, the cross country season that was also delayed. That's going to be in September now.
I'm probably I'm training for nationals. I want to try and qualify for the under 20, maybe in the 5K, and maybe the 1500.
Same as Josh. It's a bit of a long way off, but nationals next year. My final junior season, I'd like to make it for the 8 and 1500.
Well, look, if there's a chance to go overseas next year, I'm looking forward to doing the Indonesian Open again. I've done that, and I won that 2 years ago, and also the Masters Asian Championships.
Now, I'll get each of you to answer my next question as well, which is, how did all you get involved in athletics, and why did you choose it?
So the reason why I got involved in athletics was when I was about 11 years old, and I wanted to win school cross country, and my mum actually coached me for the first couple of years. So she used to take me running around an oval and just training basically every week. So I was probably doing 1 or 2 runs each week, and from then eventually my mum's like, it's time to get a coach. And that's when we started contacting a few people and came across the Williamstown Athletics Club, and here we are today. So yeah.
I started running when I was about 10, and I used to do the primary school sport stuff, and then when I was about 12, I joined the Williamstown Athletics group.
I also did the same, just started off with the school events, and then I followed in Lucinda's footsteps.
I actually didn't do athletics probably until year 8. Before that, I did the little athletics, but I didn't try super hard, I guess. Like tennis, soccer, played that sports, but wasn't really too good at them. So I decided to try and, I guess, have more of a go at athletics.
I've been doing little aths at Willie since I moved to Melbourne. Maybe I was about 8, and then I started training seriously, or I actually started training at all maybe about year 5, and then it's progressed from there.
I used to run when I was at school, but then I left it for many decades until about 6 years ago. My son wanted to train with Williamstown, and so I got a bit bored sitting there waiting around for him to do laps or run 10Ks. And the coach asked me to join in, and I took it from there.
Now, what would be one particular moment throughout all your athletics journeys that stands out to you the most?
Probably the night that I ran my first ever national qualifier. It was in December in 2014 at the Aberfeldy Athletics Tracks, Aberfeldy Park. Yeah, I remember it clearly. It was a really, really hot night, really muggy, and wasn't feeling that great. And definitely didn't expect to get a 7-second PB and 7 seconds underneath the national qualifier. So that was definitely a highlight that I remember, especially from my childhood. And then another good time was probably my first ever national race. It was pretty exciting and motivating, and I felt really good after it. So yeah.
My highlight would probably be when I won nationals for the first time 2 years ago. It was up in Sydney at Olympic Park, and it was probably something that I thought was like really unexpected, and I wasn't really expecting anything, and yeah, I kind of just surprised myself.
My highlight is probably at the start of this year in March, when I qualified for the national steeplechase, and I got a PB by almost 30 seconds.
Yeah, my highlight probably was last year. One of the Vic Miles races. It was 1500. I wasn't really expecting to do, I guess, super well, and then I lowered my PB by about, I think it was 17 seconds, and actually won the race.
I'd say my highlight was Nationals 2 years ago. My first ever Nationals, and I ran the 800 at Sydney Olympic Park. I was quite nervous for the race, but it was a great experience.
Mine would have to be the World Masters Games in Auckland, New Zealand, about 3 years ago, when I won the 800 metres championship. It was a little unexpected, and there were quite a few Russians that turned up, and I didn't know how quick they were. They'd been banned from a number of the other games, so it was one of the few places they could compete in. But yeah, definitely the most exciting time.
Now, what does the sport of athletics mean to all of you, and especially being there at Williamstown?
At Williamstown, we have a much of a friendly vibe, and everyone is very welcoming, and it really helps at races. And when we have events like each year, we have a Christmas gift and, awards nights and barbecues and pie nights and things like that. So having that real good family connection within the group and within the club is really good for everyone.
I feel like that it's kind of like down at the track, it's kind of like home, and you feel like you have a place and you have like a really supportive network of people to like always there for you.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the girls and boys are quite close with each other, and we've known each other for a long time, so yeah, just like family.
Like Alyssa said, it's pretty relaxed, I feel like. We still go down there and train and work hard, but then at the end of the day, we can still go and enjoy it on the cool down and all stuff like that.
I'm just happy everyone lets me run along with them. I'm sort of the odd man out in the sense of being someone over 40, over 50, over 60. And in the end, we just run according to times. And so I can be training with someone 14 years of age one week and someone 50 the other week. So, and people are pretty open and happy to train with you.
Yeah, as the other said, I love the chill family vibe down there. I love being able to train with other people, and it really helps my training. Just other people to push me.
Especially the ones that were supposed to go to nationals a couple of months ago. I guess when you had the news that you couldn't go to nationals at all, I guess how sad was that for all of you, considering how much you all worked hard towards it? And secondly, I guess, did that sort of motivate all of you to try to push to hopefully get in again in 2021?
Yeah, so for my age group, being junior, going into seniors, and only being 19 years of age and unable to run at the junior nationals, I was eligible to compete at the 2020 uni nationals on behalf of Deakin University. So that was the only nationals that I had in mid-April. First off, we didn't actually know it was going to be cancelled until about 2 weeks before, because they were just postponing it, and then they ended up cancelling it last minute. But I was quite upset that I didn't get to have that final race of the season I was tapering for and freshening up for. However, I was really glad that it didn't work out, because I was I was needing a break, and I think having that break, it was very, very good for my body, and I look back now and I wouldn't want to have it any other way.
I think for me that the cancellation of nationals was definitely like really disappointing, because there's nowhere that that your season really finished off. It kind of just stopped like a bit abruptly. But going on off what Alyssa said, it was nice to have just a good break, not going back to back from athletics to cross country straight away, which is what I pretty much do every other year. So
the cancellation was a bit of a disappointment because it would have been my first nationals for track, and I'm also going to be bottom age next year, so I had a good chance this year. So yeah, but it was a good little break to have between the two seasons.
What will be your advice to our listeners out there or viewers out there that should get involved in athletics?
I guess basically you don't have to be very fast. You don't have to train super hard. It's just, I guess, a sport that you can enjoy, and you get out of it what you put into it. And I think there's no better feeling after a run or after athletics that you get compared to any other sport. No matter if you didn't do well or if you did well, I think you always feel pretty good after a run.
It's it's an interesting sport because at one level it's not easy. A lot of it is very personal. You're often running against yourself as much as you're running against someone else. It's it's the chase after the PB and the personal best, which is often just as gratifying as the chase after somebody else in a championship. And as I said, that you can come in at so many different levels, but it's a very natural sport. It might be hard, but it's very natural. The idea of running is interesting if you've especially been around a bit like myself for a long time. You forget about how different your body responds when you're running at speed or at a particular distance compared to just walking or other sports. This is something really gratifying, I think.
Now we'll finish off with a couple of lighthearted questions, which is anyone at the club comedians?
I think from definitely past experiences at training, he's not here right now, but Charlie and Bailey always taking like an hour to do their warm up. is definitely.
Yeah, honestly, that is a highlight of training. Definitely, I agree with that one.
Any athletes at Williamstown that think they're dancers?
I know that there's a lot of talk with the younger girls on the warm up about TikTok and who's the most TikTok famous.
Now I'll finish off with this two final ones, which is, do any of you have any embarrassing moments on the track or in cross country?
My most embarrassment probably is the 2013 Christmas gift or 2014, one of the two. It was about a 43-degree day. It was crazy hot. It was it was nuts. And we had a sausage sizzle and a barbecue afterwards. And I remember falling to the floor straight after my 400-meter Christmas gift race. It was not fun.
Back in Auckland for those World Championships, I also made it to the final of the 400 metres, and coming up the straight with only about 50 metres to go, it felt pretty good, and I was a definite chance for a medal, and then I just passed out, and I went down for only a moment, got up and finished the race last. But then someone came up to me and asked if I was running the following day. And I said, "Oh, why?" And they said, "Oh, look, it's really exciting to see someone, coming up to the finish line and just passing out. We want to see if you do it again tomorrow." bit cruel, but
Yeah.
again.
And of course, I'll finish off this one last one, which is if any of you have any brothers or sisters who are in the sport, who's the better athlete?
Definitely Lucinda.
Well, I've been competing against my son. My son won some state championships. He was a very good runner, but he's retired now at the age of 21. And he still comes out occasionally for a couple of Ks run with me. And I've noticed that he gets a bit worried when I take the lead. So I can now outlast my son in a distance race over 3Ks.
Well, Ori, thank you so much for joining us. It's awesome having Ori on the show. Obviously, best of luck once we can get out of this COVID situation, especially with the restrictions easing in the next couple of weeks. And so we can get to see Ori back on the track very soon competing for the mighty Williamstown Athletics Club.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.